Hi everyone, welcome to our allotments apiary. Just a very quick video. Today we're going to be popping a couple of feeders on some of the colonies here and topping them up with a bit of sugar syrup. We've started feeding. It's the beginning of September. It might seem a little bit early, but this particular apiary is surrounded by ivy, and this year I'm going to try to get some sugar syrup into them before the main bulk of that ivy nectar comes in. The plan being that hopefully they'll take down some of that sugar syrup and mix it with the ivy, and so it hopefully won't granulate quite as hard as it normally does. So we're using the Happy Valley Honey Appy Mix sugar syrup with the added vitamins and amino acids. It looks like a light sugar syrup, so it's got that kind of a little bit more liquid as opposed to the heavy sugar syrup, which is a much more gloopy, viscous syrup. But it's still early in the month, and I'm hoping that by feeding now it will enable the bees to evaporate a lot of the water and still be able to cap it off and store it. So just a very quick video. We're using the green rapid feeders, which I'll show you in a moment. So let's go over to the hive and pop one of these feeders on. So this is the feeder. It's the Maysmore green jumbo feeder. If I take the top off, you can see it's basically a rapid feeder, but it has the two sections in it, which allows the bees to come up through the middle. This is a ribbed cone, as is the inside of the cover. Bees come up through the middle and then take the feed that we put into the feeder. There are also marks up the side which show you how many gallons you've placed in it. It would be handy if it was litres as well, but it is just gallons. And this sits above the crime board. Something I mentioned on this week's podcast is if I just turn it over, you'll see that it's got this ridge that runs around both sides, and it isolates both sides. So what I have a tendency to do is to put together two commercial nukes, and this actually acts as a divider, so I can feed two completely separate nukes with the one feeder. But obviously the nukes need to be of the right size so that when they're pushed together they form the same footprint as a national hive. So let's give them a little bit of smoke, and we'll just open them up. We're not going to inspect them, we're just going to pop the feeder on and top it up with some feed. So just a little bit of smoke because we're going to take the top off but not inspect. I've noticed quite a lot of ivy pollen going in, so we do need to try to get this sorted. And actually the bees, you can tell that the bees are preparing for winter because these roofs are getting popularised down really quite solidly. A little bit of smoke on top. As I say, we're not going to inspect them. So the feeder I'll put on so that it covers one of these feed holes, and bearing in mind that we have that divider in the middle, if we had two nukes then we could separate them quite easily. So that's sitting on top of the crime board quite nicely. We've just got a bee that's landed in here, so we'll just move her on. And this is the Appy Mix feed, and you'll see that it's a more liquid feed than a traditional heavy syrup. smoke is going well. I'm going to put in approximately 7 kilos of syrup, which is half a jerry can. And then before popping on the roof, the lid to the feeder, I just dribble some of the syrup down into the cone so that the bees will come up and just feed on that, and that will lead them up into the cone feeder, and the same on the back. And then we can pop the lid back on and the roof can go on top of that. So the reason I'm feeding this early is to try and get that sugar syrup mixed in with the ivy. Hopefully that will allow them to then access all of the sugar syrup and feed the stores that they need for the winter. Hopefully the ivy won't affect the sugar syrup and just granulate the whole lot. That's obviously something else that potentially could happen. So we will keep an eye on them as we go through the autumn and winter. I've not inspected them, there's no need. I know that they're queen right, so we're just going to now complete this apiary by putting feeders on everything. And if you've got any questions about feeding, about the types of feeders, then do drop me a message. But if not, we'll catch up next time. Thanks for watching.